This is Matt for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight. So delighted for the first time to be joined by Michael Gomez Jr. Michael, I've just seen you do a bit of a workout there. You look like you're punching with bad intentions. How are you feeling? You're looking great shape.
Yeah, mate, I feel fantastic. Can't wait. Now I think it's 11 days, 10 days.
Yeah.
So not long now, finally get to show what I'm about.
I'll knock that off, shall I? Yeah, but you get to show what you're about on a big stage as well. Like I said, the Okolie Undercard in Manchester as well. This is a huge day for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to say Okolie's on my undercard.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, yeah, mate, it's a big chance. I think for years, as a kid growing up, I got to see my dad fight on Sky Sports, and I finally get my chance to fight on there as well. So that more than anything else is something that's massive for me, I think.
Yeah, proud moment for you, your family. Obviously, everyone knows your dad, and his legacy and stuff like that. Did you come into this with any pressure at all then, fighting in Manchester? Because this is a huge card. You've mentioned sort of off camera how seriously you've took boxing over the years, and you mentioned you got a nutritionist and things like that. Manchester Arena, it's big. It's big for you.
Yeah, I think this fight is probably the biggest pressurised kind of fight that I'm going to have. I think after this fight, win this fight, and I think that the doors are massively open, and I'm sure I'll be on Sky a lot regularly and everything else. And obviously, at the same time, I know I'm not going to lose, but a defeat on Sky Sports probably ain't going to be the best of time for me either, is it? So I know there's a lot of pressure on this fight, I think, for me.
You mentioned off camera, you'll be the Manchester boy now, as in like you'll be the face of Manchester boxing kind of thing. You've been mentioning obviously after doing your training and things like that. Is that the goal for you, to make yourself like that leading light? Because this is a fighting city. We've seen all the legends like your Ricky Hatton's come through, many more. Is that what you're wanting to do? Be that face? Yeah,
I definitely want to be one of them, one of the main front leaders. Yeah, I think we've got a few that are heading up there now, but I want people to know whenever I fight that there's going to be serious entertainment and worth watching.
Talk to me about your opponent, your first undefeated opponent, Levi Giles, for the title. What do you know about him? Have you seen much of him? Anything at all?
Fuck all, mate. Absolutely nothing. Honest to God, I've watched about a minute and a half of his last fight, I think it is, and that's about it. Literally it.
Is that all you need? Is it a case of like have a trainer here, come up with game plan and go for it? You don't have to watch your opponents or anything like that.
I've never watched. I just didn't feel the need to watch him. Yeah, whatever Marvin and that say they want me to do, I'll do. Yeah, but I'm sure, regardless, mate. Once the first bell goes, my plan's going to be the same as it is every fight. I'm going to get in his face and I'm going to beat him up.
It's for a title, this fight. Is this like the first step to your, I would say, your coming out party? Like
it's my second title. Obviously, I'm area champion already. Well, I think I don't know if I vacated. I don't actually know what's going on with that. But yeah, I think not necessarily the title really matters. I think it's my coming out party, as in it's the platform Sky Sports. I think after I win this fight, I think I'm only going to be on the big shows from then onwards.
You mentioned, I've seen in a previous interview, I think it might have been with BBTV, you didn't really like boxing that much at one point in your life. Speaking to you today, sort of off camera, you've alluded to the fact that you've got a nutritionist on board, things are a lot different for you. Why now? Why is now the point? Where was that turning point where you went, you know what, I'm not this person's son who's just got into boxing because my dad did it. I want to do this and I'm taking it seriously.
I wouldn't say I didn't like boxing. I think for years I spent. There's a lot more pressure on me than what I expected. Yeah. So to speak, when I first turned pro, it's like people. I don't think it's hard to explain, but when your dad's a boxer, mate, to me he was just my dad. I didn't understand. Obviously, I understood what it was about, but when people say the amount of people that I've seen, he's a legend. I never it's your dad. You don't look at you. You know what I mean? Right, Dad, you're a legend. That's not something that That's not something as a kid you'd say. Yeah. So I think when it just started hitting me, when I first started turning pro, and then after every fight, people would be like, "Oh, he's not as good as his dad. He's not this. He's not that." And then, mate, when I turned pro ridiculously early, I think I was 18, I'm 19. It was stupidly early, and I don't think I was ready to go fight wise, because mate, I'd fight anywhere, and it didn't matter that. I think mentally, and I don't think I was ready to turn pro at that age, and then I had children young, and so a lot of other things, mate. So boxing, I don't know. I just don't feel. I feel like with the pressure, mate, I think it just made me just not want to be a part of it for a bit.
You mentioned you used to look at YouTube comments and stuff like that and what people were saying about you. Have you sort of moved past that now mentally, where people, like water off a duck's back, because it does affect people, and it can really grind people down. I know people always say sticks and stones, but there's only so many times people can take shots at you before you, in other words, you lose your shit. So how have you sort of dealt with that? Because I know you mentioned it.
Like, I don't know, mate, it was weird. Like I don't know. I just couldn't understand why people had so many things to say. Cause, like, I mean, again, obviously, because bringing my dad back, but I just didn't understand it. Like normal, when I say normal, like other fighters, like they'll get a bit of, oh, he's not that good, but that was it. But mine would be, oh, he's wasting the name, he's got the goal of his name, he's nowhere near as good, and I'd be like, huh? I was confused to why I'd get so much. And mate, there was a guy called Joe Hatt, I think he was called, mate. Honest to God, for years, mate, I hated this man with a passion, and he wasn't even a real person, mate.
Just someone
like,
on YouTube.
Yeah, like it was just a random name on YouTube. But every single video, mate, he just slate me, And in my head, I used to think like, I want to punch this guy's face in, and he probably wouldn't even, like, the guy's real name would have been something. And I don't know, for years, mate, I used to just think, why do people not want to see me do well so much? And whereas now, I honestly don't give a fuck, mate. Like it honestly doesn't bother me now. I just want to. Now I'm doing it because I like to do it. Like this is just my job now, and that's it.
I see a lot of similarities in terms of the hate that, for instance, a Campbell Hatton gets. Campbell's obviously had to turn over early due to, I think, COVID and things like that, and the amateur scene. It was difficult times during COVID, and he turned over, and everybody knows he's not had that huge amateur background. He's turned over, but you see some of the comments, and there's, because he's getting given opportunities, and it's like, well, what's he supposed to do? Turn these down? Yeah. Like he's been signed by Anthony Joshua. Do you think that's just sort of the nature of it? The fact, well, he's 258 management, which will look after Joshua. So obviously he's got that with him, and he's been given the opportunity. So do you think that's sort of what's happened with you, because you've got this dad who's got this reputation?
Mine was a lot different because I turned professional with the Warrens, Frank Warren, and that, and that went tits up because of my own doing that. I fucked that up, and then I was obviously on the small shows, and I think I went from having this when you fight at MEN Arena, mate, to going on to small shows, and because I knew I was the reason things like that was happening, I think that started played more and more of a part, and I got to the point, like I was saying before, I knew that if I knew I was failing because of my own mistakes, I couldn't give other people the right to say, oh, look at him doing this and that. If I knew, you're messing around there, no one else could bother me than what they had to say.
Absolutely. Have you sort of thought about what constitutes success in your career? Like, what will be success to you? We mentioned titles. You said not bothered about this title, really. It's about performance. But when you look back, say, in another 10 years, because you've been professional 10 years. I can't believe you've been professional 10 years, 28. When you look back in another 10 years' time, touch wood, you may still be having a knock. You never know. What do you want to look? What do you?
38. Yeah. Hopefully, mate, I'm somewhere with a load of dough in my pocket, not getting in the ring ever again. That's where I want to be in 10 years. Obviously, mate, I want to win the British title. Obviously, I got to see my dad win 2 of them, so that'd be a story in itself. And I said in an interview I did last week, I want to win the Commonwealth title because that's something he didn't win. Yeah. So that'd be one over on him kind of thing, like in a good way. Other than that, mate, obviously I want to be a world champion. Everyone wants to be a world champion. But in boxing, to be a world champion, mate, not only do you have to be good, you have to get luck on your side. How many fighters, in the past have been world champion who have been garbage? Not garbage, that's probably the wrong word, but not as good as other fighters who are absolutely unbelievable, mate, and just haven't been given the chance. You need to get lucky, you need to have the people on your side. And my biggest problem probably is I'm not exactly the most...
You say what you think.
Sheepish, yeah, that's the best way to put it. I'm not, I'll never sit here and someone will tell me what to say. And that, that's, some people like that, some people don't like that, but that's just me, that's who I am, that's what I'm about. That I'm never going to sit here and lie and say what I don't think.
You're not. I won't say the word, not media trained. I think, but you're not.
I'm not.
You're
media,
not.
I mean, that's not being bullshit. I'm not media trained. There's certain fighters that'll say things to make people happy and what they need to say to get people on the side. I don't really.
Yeah, you don't bother about
no, mate. If you don't like me for who I am and what I do, then so be it. Like that's because that's what I'm saying now. My mindset from how it used to be to now. So now I got to the point where I honestly don't care what anyone's opinion is on me, mate. I honestly, to God, hand on heart, could not give could not care less.
But that must be a better position to be in because you sleep well at night. Like you see fighters, specific fighters who you think who are different off the camera, and you think they're not always them, and it must hurt them trying to sometimes do it. So.
I don't know how people do it to put on two fronts, mate. It's hard work being me. It's hard work being me 24/7. So I could not think of like sitting here right now and trying to be like, yeah, mate, training camp's been brilliant. My opponent's fantastic. It just wouldn't. Like it wouldn't. Yeah. I know for a fact that when I'd go off camera, I'd be like, you are an idiot. Like it's not for me.
You mentioned you had kids young. Do you be keen or against them boxing?
Absolutely not, mate.
No. Why? What if one day? What if one day Junior comes up to you?
I know for a fact, mate, I'll put everything I own right now, and Marvin owns, you own, JJ owns, and every other person in this building owns, that my son will not come up to me and tell me to box. I guarantee you that now, mate. He would not, 1,000,000% not. He can't, he would not fight to save his life, mate. That's a guarantee. My daughter might. She's a bit nuts, mate. Well, she's a bit nuts.
Well, as daft as it sounds though, like women's boxing, it's on the rise now, and we're seeing probably a lot of the best fights get made there because of the talent pool. But the next sort of generation, I think, will increase the talent. But one day she comes up to me and goes, "Look, Dad, I really, really want to do this." Is that that's a hard conversation that you're going to have to have, isn't it?
Obviously, mate, I didn't have that conversation with Dad. I said, "Dad, I'm turning pro," and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, what can you say? You know, they can't. My dad couldn't turn around and said, "You're not." Like, what could he do? Tied me up and said, "Like, so you can't say no." But
you'd advise him against.
If it was up to me, I'd absolutely no chance. Like, I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I wouldn't advise it to most young kids. If I'm being truthfully honest with you.
I don't think it's good for young kids, maybe who can't figure out how they're going to cope in a normal life. Like, there's this cycle of you go to school, you get a job, it's a 9 to 5, and they need that outlet. Where you see a lot of people go to the army for discipline.
I'd advise boxing to people because it's good for young kids, mental health, fitness, get people happy. It's great, but inside of the pro game, mate, if you ain't got the right people around you, sorry, mate, that kid went flying. That's brilliant. It's like I wouldn't advise it, mate, because it's a bad game. Like it's a rotten game, to be honest with you.
Have you had bad people around you? Have you had to learn the hard way and sort of either cut people off or make sure your circle's smaller or just choose better? As you had to go through any of that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say bad people. No, mate. Everyone I associate with or have done in my life are pretty cool, to be honest with you. I've been in not the wrong circles because I honestly wouldn't say anyone I've ever hung around with ever in my life has been a bad. But I think I was easily into forget that what they do in their life and what I do in my life is, you can't, I used to go, like I was saying to you before, I go football quite a lot, home and away with City and whatnot, and you can't train and give 100% to boxing, mate, when you go into football games on the beer, and it's not possible, mate. Like, it's just not possible to give your best.
Absolutely. Like, what advice has your dad given you? Has he given you any key advice that stuck with you at all? What sort of relationship do you have with him when talking about boxing? Because he's been there and he's achieved the things that you're wanting to achieve. But what are them conversations like?
No, mate, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Honest to God, nothing. I don't know. What? I don't think anyone can say anything anyway. Yeah. Anywhere that can prepare you for boxing. I think it's a weird one, isn't it, mate? You're gonna get in the ring, the bell's gonna go, and you're gonna smash someone's head in at you, and they're gonna try and smash your head in, and it's that simple. Yeah. So, like, if I could have got something out of it, I wish I would have been prepared for what it's like, with certain things, and how people from outside it are going to have his, because I'm sure he was worse than me, mate. He was absolutely rad. Anyway, it was wild. So I'm sure a lot of people had bad things to say about him. So I wish I would have spoke to him about that kind of stuff, and how he dealt with that maybe. But other than that, mate, I don't think he could have said anything. Yeah. Mate, I don't think there's anyone in the game. Good advice. Like, they can tell people do this, do that, but mate, it's your own man, aren't you? Once you get in that ring. Yeah, and it's your own life. No matter how many times someone says no, you're going to do something, aren't you, really? Let's be honest, unless you are, again, like, trained. But I'm not, mate. When someone says, oh, you're coming for a bit? You're going to go for a bit, mate. If someone says you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're like, that's just life. So if there's only one thing I would have asked, it would have like, how did you get around people like just hating? And that's one thing. Yeah, that's anyone. I'd like to know how other boxers. Like, I don't know. I wonder if that's normal for everyone. I don't know, mate. Like, it's something I'm going to ask someone eventually. I will speak to other boxers at one time when I'm sat there, and I will ask that question.
There's plenty of avenues now as well you can get in boxing. I did an interview with a hypnotherapist last month, and he works with athletes in the UFC and everyone, how to deal with your mindset and sort of block things out and sort of really become either at peace with yourself or to get the best out of yourself. Interesting stuff, but you'll have loads of avenues. Right, specifically the fight now. Now, your record doesn't suggest that you're a huge puncher. I've just seen you on the pads here, and I've been told that that's 50% allegedly. You can bang. You can bang. What are we?
Anybody that looks at my record, mate, you will not find any journeyman who's just a crab. I've never boxed one of them guys who just stand there and let you smash their heads in.
Yeah.
Some of these journeymen and a lot of these fighters have got, 12, 30 knockouts. They've got guys who've just stood there and let them tee off. You look at my record, there's not one journeyman on there. That's a fact that I've stood there and just let me tee off. Everyone I've boxed, even the bad ones, I've tried to win, mate, because of the name. And when I first started out, I reckon my first 10 fights, I must have given at least £5 away. At least. I don't think ever. Up until I boxed on the car park on Remember Fight Zone on that show on the outside. That was the first opponent where I'd weighed within £3 in my pro career, and that was how many fights ago? 6.
Yeah.
The first 12 fights, mate, I literally give them £4, £5, £6, £7, £8, £9 away.
Wow.
Like,
just to get the fights.
Yeah, because of the names and people didn't really know because I was so young. Like, there wasn't much on me going around, so going was instantly like he was going to try and stop me. Because them journeymen, mate, their job is to get in there, show you what they can, and not get stopped. Yeah. And because of the name, mate, a lot of them was like, well, if he's like his dad, I'm gonna get, you know what I mean. So I had to get, it'd be the amount of times I'd have 4 or 5 different opponents. Yeah, in the week of a fight. I'd never had an opponent again up until the first probably one. Well, mate, like I'm sure I had a title fight. Before I won the area title, the fight before that I was meant to fight for the title, and the guy didn't pull out on the day of the fight. So like me, like I don't think up until when I won it, I think that's the first time I had a 6-week camp where I knew the guy I was fighting. Other than that, I found out a week before, maybe 3 days, and then it'd change again 3 days before.
So, Lawrence Okolie Undercard, we can expect the best version of Michael Gomez Jr. and we can expect big things. I mean, just from what you're saying, you were like, don't want to get injured, don't want my hands to go.
Yeah, mate, I want to make sure everything's perfect because, mate, listen, I know everyone says they're going to put on this performance, they're going to put on that performance. Mate, like, I don't know how I'm going to react when I get on that ramp and the crowd goes, because, mate, this is like, mate, like I said, I was saying it again in the interview last week, like my dream as a kid. Like everybody wants to be like the dad or mum, don't they? Like that's a fact. If you're a girl, you want to be like your mum. I want to fight in Sky Sports one day. Like mine wasn't. Gonna win this title. That was probably when I turned pro. That was probably the only thing. Because then I knew, like when I played football, my dad he fucking hates football. Like he hated it. So like he'd watch when he watched, but like he didn't. So like I know that was my thing. I'm going to do what he did and fought in Sky Sports. So this, when I get on that ramp, who knows, mate. But if I get in that ring and I'm 100% firing all cylinders, mate, I guarantee after that fight, I will be one of the most talked about fighters in Manchester. I can guarantee it.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there live in person, so looking forward to seeing you do your thing. Look, Michael, thanks for giving us some of your time today, letting us watch you train for a little bit. Look forward to seeing you do your thing and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much.